Order. Questions to the Prime Minister.
Take one from Facebook, from Karen MacDonald. Which party leader will eradicate the farcical Prime Minister's question time? Don't we have enough comedies on TV without having this rerun over and over again and again?
Oh, now, this is the... Amen. Look, at 5 minutes to 12 every Wednesday, I can tell you, I put my head in my hands and think, why have I got to do this? It's a nightmare.
No Prime Minister enjoys Prime Minister's questions.
To see how the post of a permanent President of the European Council could also evolve is not difficult even for the humblest student of politics. And it is, of course, rumoured that one Tony Blair may now be interested in the job. Now, if that makes us uncomfortable on these benches, just imagine how it is viewed in Downing Street.
What is it like, Prime Minister's questions? And how do you think Jeremy Corbyn is dealing with them?
Sometimes you go in different parts of the world, and there's even cable TV programs in Japan and places that have Prime Minister's questions, and people say, you know, do you miss it? And I say the one thing I really do not miss about being Prime Minister is Prime Minister's questions. Because you're literally 30 minutes or more than 30 minutes now on the at-risk register.
Where anything could come.
Yeah, anything could come. And it used to be amazing. Sometimes you'd think, you know, today's going to be quite an easy day. And half an hour later, you'd emerge from the chamber battered and bruised. And other times you think, oh, this is going to be really sticky and it'll go well. But it occupied so much of your mind. I mean, it was, and it's almost like a sort of physical thing, because you have to keep your mind so alert, because you make one mistake in Prime Minister's questions and, you know, you can be misleading Parliament, or, you know, you can, and your own side is sitting there in judgment on you the whole time. So, you know, you kind of think they'll all be roaring their approval, but frankly, they're much more like a sort of dispassionate audience, and they're thinking, has he lost it, or is he...
Since I received the following communication that came across by urgent letter yesterday, details of employee leaving work, surname Blair, first name T, it said actually Mr, Mrs, Miss or other. This form is important to you, take good care of it, P45.
Ian Duncan Smith joins us now. You've taken part in PMQs as the leader.
Yeah.
The first time you did it as leader, it was a pretty nerve-wracking moment, isn't it?
It's the single most nerve-wracking thing you'll ever do in your life. Very few people have actually done it. And I said once, what's it like? I said, it's like driving a car down a narrow road at 100 miles an hour, whilst having to look in your rearview mirror to see what the hell is going on behind you, and if anybody's there trying to smash your car up from behind. I said, it's just impossible. Everything's happening at literally micro time, so 10-second space in what you say. So if you leave a pregnant pause, someone in that room is going to fill it and make you look like a fool, and then you've got 15-20 minutes to fill.
Mr. Speaker, does the Prime Minister appreciate that she spoke for the whole country recently when she said that the poll tax had been a huge mistake?
But the right honourable gentleman is mistaken. I never said any such thing. I'm very sorry to disappoint him, but he shouldn't believe everything he reads in the newspapers.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sad that the reports that there was some common sense breaking out in Downing Street appear to have been slightly exaggerated.
Who prepares you for this? Who's going to be sitting there with Theresa May today saying, I mean, does she get some sort of pep talk, you know, some sort of psychology, or does she get lines from a script writer?
Well, the Prime Minister is always in the prime slot because they have the last word. The Leader of the Opposition, it's a nightmare job because you've got to figure out 6 questions and you've got to know where she's going to go, he's going to go as Prime Minister on every single answer to every then single answer. So it's a more difficult problem. For the Prime Minister, she will have a full book of basic facts that she can turn to. You've seen the Prime Minister use that, David Cameron. But what they'll try and do is they'll be sitting with her saying, right, okay, what are the issues that he is going to bring up? Now, with Corbyn, she's blessed because Jerry Corbyn never follows up a weak answer. You know, your job as Leader of the Opposition, if they make a stumble, is you go in again and you follow it up. But he never does because he just goes to his next line in the script and talks about somebody from Oakshott or whatever, and it's very easy for the Prime Minister. But her job is to make sure that she leaves with the last point.
The first point of recapitalisation was to save banks that would otherwise have collapsed. And we not only saved the world, saved the banks and saved the banks and led the way. We not only saved the bank.
Members of Parliament from whatever party, they can ask you any question they like. And so you've got to try and be on top of your game and on top of everything that's happening. And that has a knock-on advantage, which is, it means that as Prime Minister, you've got to know everything that's going on in your government. And so it does enforce some accountability of the departments and the ministers to you and through you to Parliament. So yes, it is noisy and crazy and infuriating and all the rest of it, but there is some sort of point.
Let me welcome the Right Honourable Gentleman back and congratulate him again on the birth of baby Samuel. I very much know what it's like, the noise, the mess, the chaos, trying to get the children to shut up. I'm sure it's lovely to have 2 weeks away from it all.
I count my blessings for the fact I don't have to go into that pit that John Major stands in, nose to nose with the opposition, all yelling at each other. He and I have talked about that, incidentally. I think he does very, very well, but I think that's for him, not for me.
The crisis in the health service is not next year, it's now. Wards are being closed now. Operations are being cancelled now. Waiting lists are growing again now. That money is needed now. Will he provide it? And if not, what will he do to avert the National Health Service crisis and prevent any further closure of hospital wards this coming winter?
I think the Right Honourable Gentleman had better wait for the statement by my Right Honourable friend the Chancellor on funding for the health service. That will be made clear at the time of the budget, and I have nothing further to say to the Right Honourable Gentleman this afternoon, except this. It was the Right Honourable Gentleman. It was the Right Honourable Gentleman who was lecturing us about spending and debt just a few days ago. Now it is the Right Honourable Gentleman advocating extra expenditure. Whatever happens to be his tune for the day, he will shift to it.
The adversarial element. And I don't know where it comes from, whether it's Norman and Saxon, or whether it's Roundhead and Cavalier, or whether it's North and South, but there has always been, until very recently in our Parliament, and it's been crucial, a rivalry and to some extent even a personal dislike between the two sides, which has meant that they, like two magnets, they can't come together. Circumstances force them apart, that they view everything that the other one does critically, that the opposition genuinely, quite often quite personally and passionately, used to view everything the government did as suspect, which is a very good thing to do with any government anyway. It's my view that Parliament should have a permanent standing committee on unintended consequences, which would examine every piece of legislation on the basis that it's been drawn up by idiots. But a proper hostile opposition performs some of this function.
There we are. Oh! I tell you what's going down. His career is going down. That is what is going down. Ah! We've got a new hand gesture from the Shadow Chancellor. Today's briefing in the papers, the hand gesture for the Shadow Chancellor should be bye-bye. You don't need it to be Christmas to know when you're sitting next to a turkey.